One thing I always find very interesting about rugby league is who the best player at every single age bracket is, and like how some age brackets can have so much more talent than others. So today what we're going to be looking at is the best players from every single age, ranging like in the NRL we've got players from 18 all the way up to 34 this season. So let's get straight into it. But actually, before we do, right, over 90% of you guys watching these videos aren't subscribed to the channel. So what's the go with there? Just press the red button. Come on. So now that's out of the way, we're going straight into, we're going to go from youngest to oldest. At 18 years old, we'll also, talk about like honourable mentions first, and then say who I think is the best player of that age group. And then you guys can make up your mind and let me know down below who you think is the best player for every age. So for 18, my honourable mention is Paul Alamotti, only because he hasn't played yet. Either's the guy that I've got as number one, but we've seen him a bit more at the top level, which you'll see in a second why that makes sense. But yeah, Paul Alamotti's got an absolute huge rap on him, and I think we're going to crack this year at the Dogs. But my number one is Isaiah Katoa. We've seen him at Tonga, and like the Panthers were so upset to lose him. So I think we will see him absolutely shine and be the Dolphins' marquee signing when we look back in 5 years' time. On to 19 now. Jeremiah Nanai for me is he got Rookie of the Year for a reason. Absolute stud. But the best player at 19 is generational talent and could go down as one of the best athletes we've ever seen. Just period. Joseph Suaalii is a freak. So I think 100% he deserves to be the best player in his age group at 19 years old. Now over to 20. There's a lot of honourable mentions here. So from probably bottom up, I'd say, got Junior Ramon, Kula, Isaac Tungo, Reece Walsh, Will Bensini, and Selwyn Cobbo. But my guy that I've got as the best player at age 20 is Sam Walker. Dude is running around for the Roosters side, and one of the Roosters side best Roosters sides I've ever seen. And he's locked down that 7 jumper. He's got super duper talent to go on and be an absolutely incredible 7, potentially one of the best ever. Also, I know we're a little bit into the video already, but I will have to preface that these are the ages everyone at the turn of the year, so 1st of January, because obviously birthdays happen, guys move up age brackets and that sort of thing. So yeah, this is as of January 1. Over to 21, there's a couple good honourable mentions here. Xavier Coates and Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, but a guy who I've got as the best player for 21-year-olds probably wasn't even in the conversation before last season. He's improved remarkably. He's always had a lot of potential and big raps on him, but the way he's changed over, he's developed over the last season is ridiculous. Tommy Dearden, man, he went and slotted into Origin seamlessly and guided Queensland around the park to a win when they weren't even really supposed to. So Tommy Dearden, he's that guy. He's got a huge future for the Cowboys in Queensland, and I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on and could fulfill his potential at the Cows for sure. Over to 22, these guys are my age, and this feels gross to even think about, that these guys are off being this good at rugby league. My honourable mentions, so I'm saying this guy because I think he's going to have a huge season, and by the end of the season we're going to be talking about him like we were at the end of 2021. David Fifita, he's an absolute monster, and I think Kieran Foran's really going to unlock him this season. His teammate Tino Fa'asu Malawi is another stud as well. Matt Burton and Stephen Crichton are both ridiculous players and unlucky to miss out on this top spot. But for me, Dylan Brown, probably the third best 5'8", argument for second or third best 5'8" in the comp. He's absolutely pretty much running the show at Para along with Mitch Moses, and I think it's pretty fair to say he's the best player of his age bracket. Moving on to 23, again, these guys, there's so many studs here. Herbie Farnworth, who is probably older than I thought, to be honest. Ronaldo Mulatalo, Campbell Graham, who's younger than I thought, but Payne Haas takes the cake for sure. One of the best front rowers ever since he made his debut in first grade. I think it's pretty hard to go past him. Now, moving on to 24, these guys 100% have the best age bracket out of every single age in the comp. So much so that I've had to make a column for honourable mentions to the honourable mentions. So we got Nick Kotrick, AJ Brimson, Katoni Staggs, Adam Dewey, and Moses Sewell can't even make the honourable mentions list. And there's 2 Origin players in there. That's how freakish this year is. So my honourable mentions go Ruben Cotter, Ola Kawatu, Papali'i, who I thought was way older than 24, Brian Toto, Ryan Pappenhausen, Kaloa Matangi, Reid Marnie, Kalen Ponga, and Victor Radley. That's ridiculous. Now, for 24, for the best player, I couldn't split these two guys. They're both ridiculously good. Especially, they're probably up there with the one of, if not the best in their position. It's a tie between Cameron Murray and Harry Grant for me. It's just ridiculous amount of talent coming through at 24. Like, these guys, if they can hold on, keep their bodies right and everything, they've got at least another 8 to 10 years at the top level. And a lot of these players have already played 100 plus games. It's crazy to think about. But yeah, I think 24 years old, 100% got the best talent in the comp. Moving over to 25, we've got, again, some ridiculous honourable mentions. So we've got Latrell Mitchell and Jerome Lua, two of the absolute studs of rugby league. And I suppose both people media love to hate on. But anyway, that's beside the point. Nathan Cleary has to be. He's probably the best player in the game, and he's only 25. Think about that. Halves don't usually get good until their late 20s, early 30s, when they can really control the game and stuff and understand rugby league. So if the best is yet to come for Nathan Cleary, my God, he's going to be amazing. Now, over to 26. This might be a little bit controversial. My honourable mentions, I've got Angus Crichton, Brandon Smith, and Tom Trbojevic. Is an honourable mention because I think James Fisher-Harris is the best player at 26. And how's he 26, by the way? I swear he's at least 30. He's a scary man. Probably the best front rower in the competition and leads the Panthers pack. And it's just imagine coming up against that bloke. No, thank you. So yeah, I think for me, at least at the moment, James Fisher-Harris is the best rugby league player at age 26. Moving over to 27. Again, this just goes to show you how good the Panthers are when I tell you who the best player this is. But my honourable mentions for this one is Jack Bird, Moses Leota, Jai Arrow, and Alex Johnston. But he's just moved from the Panthers. But Viliame Kickout for me is the best player at 27. And that's what the last three players were all in the Premiership team last season. It's just their squad's ridiculous. So over to 28, we've got again. This is another age group which I think is probably the second best in terms of overall talent. So honourable mentions, Jerome Hughes, Mitchell Moses, Clint Gutherson, and Joseph Tarpanay. So arguably one of the best front rowers in the comp and two of the best halfbacks in the comp. But for me, the winner is the best 5'8" in the competition, Cameron Munster. It's hard to go past him. He's one of the game's best players, one of the elite. And I think as good as those other supporting cast is, the honourable mentions, I don't think you're picking any of those players over Cameron Munster. Over to 29, again, some really, really good players. Honourable mentions, John Bateman, Junior Paulo, Jason Tamalolo, Jack Whiten, but the guy, he's, again, one of the best players in the competition. He's been doing it for years now. James Tedesco, hard to go bust him. Potentially Dally M favourite for this season, especially if the Roosters come out playing like they did at the end of last year. And he's just unbelievable. His durability as well, ever since he did a couple of ACLs, since he's got to the Roosters, his durability and the amount of games he's played is ridiculous. Now, over to the 30-year-olds. A couple of honourable mentions here. Josh Papali'i, he's starting to fall off a little bit, and I think that's just because he's been playing in the middle, playing so hard for so long. His body's just starting to get a little bit tired. Luke Keary as well, he's starting to become underrated, honestly. But the person I've got at number one, Api Coruscant, he only played 79 games at the Panthers. 3 of those are grand finals, 2 of those were wins. So I think his impact on the Panthers can't be underestimated, and I think he's going to be a key for the Tigers if they're going to try and get back in the finals. But yeah, for me, he's the best 30-year-old. Now, over to the 31-year-olds. So my honourable mentions, Dale Finucane, Daniel Tupou, Dane Gagai, and Chad Townsend. But for me, Damien Cook takes the spot there. Out of those guys, he's the one who's the consistent rep player. I know Tupou and Finucane have definitely been around the Blues squad. I know Tupou played 3 games this series, but Damien Cook is a staple in that team. And for me, he's just honestly getting better with age. He's a bit of a late bloomer in terms of the age he debuted and stuff. He floated around Dragons and the Bulldogs. But yeah, I think he's definitely getting better with age. The 32-year-olds. These honourable mentions, 2 pretty good mates, unbelievable players, Cody Walker and Adam Reynolds. You know the stat about Cody Walker I find absolutely incredible. is he's had like the most try assists over the last 5 years and like the third most tries. So he's had the most try involvements in the last 5 years of any player. Like, I knew he was good, but I didn't realise he was like impacting games that much. But the guy for me who's the best, and it could be a bit biased, but let me know, Ben Hunt, I think, is again, like, he's absolutely carrying that like pretty woeful Dragon squad. And like, it was a reason, like the main reason why they nearly made the 8 last season. Probably deserved to get like a few more votes than Damien. If you like, but again, I'm a Dragons fan, so what do you want me to say? Now, 33-year-olds, Jesse Bromwich and Jared Hargreaves honourable mentions, as well as Elliot Whitehead. I didn't realise he was 30 plus. I thought he was still like 28. Like, he's 33. He's one of the oldest players in the comp. But Daly Cherry Evans, he's still the Queensland halfback, Queensland captain. It's pretty hard to go past him as the best player at 33 years old. Now, over to the last group of guys here, the 34-year-olds, the grandpas of the league. This one was actually super tough. There's so many options here. It's James Tarmo and no one else. He's the only 34-year-old in the comp. So, pretty hard to go past him there. So that's my vote for the best players at every single age group in the competition going into the 2023 season. Let me know what you guys think, if you agree, disagree with any of them, and if you made it this far, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel.